The fuck are you doing with your microphone?
It just got all wonky. It fell off the table. It fell off the
So
table.
Austin has his microphone arm that's attached to a side table normally in his lap with the microphone at his feet.
He was doing some like foot stuff for those fetishists.
No yums yucked.
It
Right.
fell off the table and onto the floor.
It is still doing so.
Having such a hard time talking into him while doing this.
It's still
I'm
falling
not
off the
helping
table.
either.
No.
I'm within arm's reach, and I'm just watching.
Listen to it happening. You can hear my progress.
You made this bed. Now you sleep in it.
With
I'm
that
getting
racket?
so close. I'm so close. I'm sneaky. Screwing into the table. Shouldn't be this difficult.
I love how
God, you're so
prepared we
big.
are after all these episodes.
All right, we did it.
All right. Are you tired?
That was awful.
Yeah, you have reattaching mic to table hair right now, and I don't know how to look at you.
It's okay. Just let it be.
Hey, everybody. I'm Dane Holland, and why do I feel so dizzy?
I'm Austin Shazam Pfeiffer, and it's a lot to take in.
I am Marcus, the myth head, known as I'm Electric Man.
My body just took a screenshot. I'm Austin Tiny Zent, and I've got a problem.
Sounds like we all do here on Nerd It Through the Grapevine, the podcast where four best friends gather weekly to talk about our favorite parts of past, present, and future nerd culture.
So you remember way back when I was a young podcastling,
Yes.
I do, vaguely.
and like the very first episode that I was on, I brought a particular topic.
Everyday carries?
Yes, we're going to revisit that because
Bag
I feel
carrying
like I
boys.
didn't do that topic justice, and also my EDC has changed.
How did you guess that?
I didn't. I remembered.
Me
You
too.
remembered, yeah?
I remembered even based on the topic
also
because he
hitting
had a sick bag with him because he's like, yeah, this is my EDC.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, I
'Cause
don't remember anything.
3 out of 4 of us are BCBs.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed a weird pattern with my carry. In wintertime, obviously we have jackets and therefore we have more pockets. But I don't like to carry things in my jacket pocket. But I also, since I'm having to carry a jacket, I don't want to carry a backpack. Nor do I want to carry a sling bag. So I condense everything to fit in my pockets. So my pants weigh 30 pounds. Please do not mug me. Neither one of us will enjoy it. So, in being so enamored by EDC and all the things around that, I watch so many pocket dump videos. Like I can, that's what it's called. You turn out your pockets, you say what all's in there.
Pocket dump. It's
Yeah.
like an unboxing.
Yeah,
except,
pretty much.
Let's see what's in my pockets today,
Yeah,
everybody.
pretty much.
You just gotta go find random things to put in your pockets.
Well, I mean, some of it is random pocket trash. Like fidgety things. I've actually lost some things out of my pants pockets on the way here because I was at my house for an hour or two and I threw my pants in the corner, and apparently some things have fallen out.
Oh, no.
But I still carry a bag. It's more of a pocket organizer.
Oh,
Yeah. So
they're back.
yeah.
And they're related to nerd culture because in all the old movies,
Pocket
if
protectors.
the nerd had a pocket thing with
Not-
holding stuff,
Pocket protector.
Like
Yeah.
that, but
Beat 'em up.
Not like that. Like mine's actually in my pocket right now. I
Yeah.
will show y'all.
I want to see it. Take it out.
So I
Take it
guess
out.
let's just go down a list of just crap that we carry with us.
man.
And I'll go last because mine's ridiculous. I'll just be ready to admit that. Don't emulate me if you want comfortable pants. Or do. It's up to you. I'm not here to yuck your yum.
At one point, you could catch me with 4 loaded grillers from Taco Bell. And then in one pocket, I would most likely have some kind of trash compartment because that's where I'd put all the trash from stuff. So then I could just dump it at the end of the day. The reason for the burritos or the loaded grillers was because
Just in case.
Just you get hungry.
they were actually ultimate snack-alongs. Also, going to the movie theater and having your own 4 loaded grillers while you're sitting there, people look at you like you're a fucking monster. And also because because you're a genius.
Exactly.
There's a thin line between the two.
They were the loaded baked potato ones too, so they had like the bacon in them. And
Oh,
everything.
those were the best.
Yes.
Jeez. My EDC has become a lot more tech oriented because I'm now an AirPod and Apple Watch boy, just like all the other ones out there. But
you look
they're
the
neat
best
and
in
fun.
it.
Thank you, Tanya. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I also carry this little metal business card holder that's got our business cards for the podcast in it. And I've actually handed out quite a few of them, and a lot of people really like them. They always look at it and go, "Who did your logo?" And I just smile because I did it. And it's fun to show off.
On nights where I'm feeling frisky and I want to feel like a wizard but still be socially acceptable, there's like a kind of jacket I wear, it's got all these secret pockets, and I'll keep my magic words written down in my spell book, and fossils, I mentioned that last episode.
Have we
Some
seen this
cigarette
jacket?
rollers. I don't think you have. No,
You need to feel frisky one night and
I
bring
should.
this
Yeah,
jacket.
I've got this pocket watch I put in there.
Whoa, I never knew you were this person. I've
Yeah.
never seen this jacket. I've known you for years.
And we
Yeah,
didn't
like
know
I
you
said,
was a
I got to be
Power
feeling
Watch boy.
real frisky. It's got to be like one of those days where it's time.
But don't get him too
Whoa.
frisky,
Right, yeah.
because then he pops out the steampunk monocle and top hat.
Yeah. Well, it's usually like a Halloween type thing. Yeah. Or, whatever other kind of spiritual.
It's frisky
Holiday.
jacket season.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, when this happens, we'll know.
I mean, I can make
feel.
it happen. I can make it
I
happen.
mean, we don't want to force the frisky feeling on you. We want it to be natural, but we also want it to.
I'm
occur.
easily persuaded.
I mean,
Do it.
Nice. Yeah. Do it, Marcus.
All right, I'll be right back. I'll go home and get my jacket.
Whoa, cool jacket.
Whoa.
There's a monocle and everything.
It's got
pocket
Oh,
watch.
dang. I didn't
got
know it'd be highlighter orange.
What? It's got a zipper pocket and a vest pocket? That's
Dang,
awesome.
The backpack's built in?
How come
This
this
is
one
incredible.
pocket has
Jesus.
4 built-in pockets?
I didn't know you
inside
knew
of
how to
each other
ski.
pocket?
Is that jet propulsion?
Whoa. I thought my carry was ridiculous.
No wonder you got here so
I thought
quickly.
you just got taller. You've been floating the whole time. This is incredible.
Wow, how much battery power? Is that lithium ion?
If you throw this over a little puddle for your girlfriend to walk over, does it just turn into a boat?
Yeah. Wow.
Did you win this off of a Marlboro? Like, send in your cartons? Like,
No,
to
they don't-
Get,
they
like
don't-
a prize.
they
Is that
don't-
what this jacket's
They
from?
don't do those with L&M's.
Oh, they don't.
No,
Luxury and majesty, baby.
I feel like this was like cereal box tops, not necessarily cowboy killer.
two more lung polyps and you get a free hat.
Tiny, what's in them pants?
Okay, so there have been a couple additions. Like I have my key ring with way too many keys.
You do sound like a custodian.
I do, and it just. I've also somebody at work said I sound like a horror movie monster because I just ominously approach. And I was a little offended, but also a little excited by that comment.
You just show up out of nowhere and your deep voice, just overwhelms these smaller people. And you're like, how's everything going?
Well, the lady that did say this to me is 4 foot 10.5 inches tall. I know because I measured her one day because she kept saying she was 5 foot tall, and I said, "No, you're not. There's no way." And she still won't admit it, even though the proof was there. But that's a whole other conversation. Then there's a D20 in my pocket because what if I need to roll a random dex save? You don't know.
Some decisions need to be made with dice.
I know. Okay, so I'm just kind of like pulling stuff out of my pocket.
Ooh, a pocket unveiling video.
Yeah.
There's
We're
so
doing
many
it.
things. You're
That's
pocket
it.
dumping all
I'm
over
not
the
even
place.
done.
It's just for the listening
So these
performances.
are my right and left pockets. So I've got my wallet, my.
It's huge.
It's a minimal.
You said
Oh my
minimal?
God, it's
Look how
still
thin that
coming
is.
out.
It's got a button flap on it.
I
and a
have a lot of
chain.
cards. I can't help it.
Jesus.
The chain's because I have a motorcycle.
Minimalist.
How is it on fire?
You've got a baseball card collection.
I
in
mean,
it.
you gotta have a chain
It's
on it. when
still
you have a
wriggling.
motorcycle.
That gives a whole new meaning to Hot Pockets.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
tributaries in that thing.
There's a flashlight. That's just those pockets. I've got another one with my pocket organizer. And
Oh,
I'm gonna
that's awesome.
quickly go through it.
It's
On
a-
the front,
it's
there
a
are
fanny
some
pack
twist
without the
around thing,
strap.
yes. Meat thermometer, box opener, offensively large lip balm, fountain pen, stickers because I made some stickers. It's too much shit. I know it is, but I need it all. And there's also a backup flashlight in here in case I forget my other one or the battery's dead. Plus, it has a magnetic base and the head swivels so you can point it
Gross.
at stuff.
That's almost as much stuff as they've tried to shove into these Marvel Cinematic Universe television shows throughout the times.
Almost.
They've had them on Netflix. They've had them on Disney Plus, and it's hard to keep track of all the stuff that they have interconnected because not all of it has been brought into canon. But by them bringing pieces of it into canon, does that mean they have in turn brought all of it into canon? Because you've got shows like Daredevil, or Matt Murdock made an appearance. Spoiler alert. Give me the fart.
Oh, no. Yeah, we do need to get a spoiler fart in here.
Okay. Appeared in Spider-Man No Way Home.
For a very brief moment.
But he was there, and the fact that he existed alongside the mainstream actors with the main universe lets you know, okay, now this is involved. This is real deal. Because that also, that leaves not only offshoot TV shows, but offshoot movies that haven't been involved with the universe at all, like the Blade series or Ghost Rider or anything else like that. So it's just wide open properties. But they've explored so many in these television shows. It's just kind of, I wonder where they're going.
The Punisher.
Yes.
The Punisher is one of the oldest ones, at least seemingly set in this universe, because we haven't seen the Punisher in any of the movies that, as far as I know.
There was couple of Punisher movies way back in the day, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I think there was like 3 of them.
Or the, I guess I should say the current MCU.
There's just a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I want to know how it's going to be all connected. I want to know, what, and Dane's going to kind of partner with me a little bit on this too. And he's got to.
Yeah, so the first question that I kind of thought of with all of these shows, which Austin and I have seen the majority of, and Tiny and Marcus have seen hardly any of.
I've seen WandaVision.
Right.
I've seen a little bit of The Punisher, but I guess that's pretty old at this point.
Did you ever see Loki?
No.
I saw the first season of The Punisher, 2 episodes of WandaVision,
The end.
the end. Yeah.
And then that one Batman show. No, I'm just kidding. That's not Marvel.
So you thank you, Marcus.
I was just trying to make y'all mad like Tiny tried to do me earlier.
No, I was just speaking some hard truths.
So we get to kind of talk to both of you as we talk to everybody else with this.
Well,
but,
are we looking at, like, you said how they're going to connect?
Well, I wanted to look more at just the overall idea of all of these, instead of just like individual, going down the list, kind of talking about all of them thing. Just the whole idea in general of having all of these spin-off shows of the successful Marvel movie franchise.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And my first question that I have is, I'm wondering if which ones of these were needed? Because a lot of times it is a money grab. It's, oh, wow, this is really hot right now. Like Marvel is it. So we got to throw it into every possible corner that we can. And TV is the perfect place to do that. So they've had, with ABC, there was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter, and Inhumans. And I believe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the only one of those that went like a lot of seasons. And I kind of drowned myself out with all 3 of those. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually tied in with the movies pretty early on compared to all the other
Yeah, they had that same actor, right?
Yes,
They did both.
that
They did the
plays
movies and
Colston.
yeah,
Colson.
Colson. There's no T.
Yeah.
I remember that.
His first name is Agent.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's going to take a lot for me to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, come, give me a break.
Same. Like you've got
That's
to
where
really
Ghost
want it.
Rider appeared. In
Take a
Agents of
look
S.H.I.E.L.D.
into the boring aspect of the superhero world.
Was the
real people on the ground doing the paperwork.
We don't talk about the Ghost Rider movies. Oh, they're so bad. But for the most part, just looking at all of the ones that are in this, like, they're not really needed. They're not really needed. They're just kind of there to, I guess, because they're too afraid to take the risk of taking these smaller characters and making movies out of them. So they give them a TV show, because if it lasts one season, oh well, on to the next one. And something that we've noticed with the difference between like these ones that Netflix is actually behind, like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, even the production value of Luke Cage and Iron Fist, the quality difference between those and those that are on ABC that I mentioned earlier, and like Cloak and Dagger, which was on something called Freeform, and everything on Disney Plus, like we mentioned, WandaVision, The Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, the What If series, Hawkeye. All of these have such a high production quality, like movie production quality. And when you compare them to the TV shows, it's obvious where all the money was poured into these shows. And the shows on TV have to appeal to a wide audience, because if eyes aren't on that channel at that time while it's on TV, they're not getting money for the ads that they're running. So they have to make it to where they're like, okay, we have to dilute this whole situation to where we can try to get like what they tried doing with Game of Thrones, like towards the end of it, I guess, or what they were going to do with Star Wars. Actually, I think is what they were going to do. Try to make it for, what was it, soccer moms and football players or something?
Oh, that was
like they
definitely
wanted
Game
to
of
do.
Thrones.
Yeah. But
Trying to appeal to the lowest common denominator, in a sense. Yeah.
That's what they wanted to do the Star Wars. The guys from Game of Thrones wanted to do that to Star Wars, and they kicked them off the project.
right.
I don't think that's I don't think that's been
Right.
confirmed.
But
That they wanted to take magic out of Star Wars.
They wanted to do
definitely did
something.
it. They definitely did it to A Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh, yeah.
Or Game of Thrones, whatever.
But you can tell, like when watching these shows, that some of these were made for the fans who love these shows, who are going to get these small character references, and then they still explain most of them, but there's still some things that only those that have like read the comics or watched the movies, 100 times are really going to catch. And then you've got the lowest common denominator, which is what you get in these other shows, because they're just like generic shows with the Marvel logo slapped onto them, and like splash a couple like small known heroes here and there.
So you're saying that you think the ones on Netflix are a little less quality than the ones that are on Disney?
I do.
Yeah.
Well, that's also because timing as well, though, because the ones on Disney Plus have been made more recently than the other ones
and
have.
they've kind of had to push more towards that, right?
Not only that, but like the previous, like the Netflix ones, it's not that their production quality was bad. It's that the stories kind of didn't do well. The Daredevil one I thought was the best one, and that was the one that actually did the spinoff into the Punisher series. So that's where the Punisher originated in that universe, is going to be in Daredevil. But then you got to the Iron Fist, and Iron Fist was kind of cool for a minute, and then it was just like, dude, there's so much more that the Iron Fist does and has the ability to do, and it was almost like a Smallville kind of feel to it, and I did not enjoy that because I'm way more into Superman. I'm willing to wait 10 years to see if this man will fly. Cool. Not with Iron Fist. Not so much.
So, can Iron Fist fly? Is that what you're saying? I mean,
You'll have to watch the show and find out, Tiny.
He's more than just
I'm
a
never
glowing.
gonna watch it.
He's more than just a glowing power fist.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
that's
I'm
gonna
what
punch
the,
you
that's
with
what the
my
trailer
iron
made it look
fist.
like. I mean, I thought the first season of The Punisher was pretty amazing. Like, it was really cool to just see like old angry Punisher do old angry Punisher things. Plus, you saw his battle van, and we all know how I am with vans.
Yeah, we do.
There's a place in my heart that's the only thing that'll fill it is a van, baby.
A battle
It
van?
just feels so
Yes.
good. Yes, a battle van.
Yeah, and there's definitely a quality gauge, and not just, I mentioned production value, but I also mean plot, interesting characters, like just the difference between these, because like on Netflix, you can watch one of these shows, and if you don't like it in the first episode, Netflix gets you to watch any of the other shows on there. Like, you've already got plenty that you can watch over again. Like, they're not missing out on views because you don't like something. But on cable, they know who their audience is, and they're going to try to appeal to them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really line up with like actual,
with what Disney's doing.
I don't want to say
now.
actual nerds, because that's not fair. But you know what I mean? Like the push up our glasses nerds, you know, like, well, actually kind of people.
Hey, I push on my glasses all
I
the
do
time.
too. I've started doing it with my middle finger, like my papa used to do, and that's going to get me in trouble one day.
Well, just think of what they can do, though. Like, you know, say WandaVision goes 2-3 seasons, Hawkeye goes 2-3 seasons, Loki goes 2-3 seasons, and then you get these like little crossovers and team up like seasons, kind of like they're doing with the Mandalorian and like the Boba Fett stuff.
Right.
I've seen
So
those.
it's like, so it's like, I don't know. I mean, we're in the age of cinematic universe, and they're all going for it.
Well, see, that's where we're getting into the quality, which is on Disney Plus, which
Right.
with the production and
And they've had
plot
the experience
and
of
everything.
plotting out these massive projects. Now they're just taking it to the small screen.
And
Right.
we cannot talk production quality when it comes to any of the DC spinoff stuff. There are 2 DC spinoff shows that have been on HBO that I've watched. Doom Patrol, which was entertaining as shit. I loved it. And then Peacemaker, which honestly,
so boring.
it's been a hit. Everybody's loved it. But, you know, to me, it was a miss. And I'm not often that guy. I kind of can follow the crowd a little bit more on my opinion, but I was just bored to death with it, and it seemed just like they were trying too hard. Give them the award, Captain Tryhard.
And this is all pretty relevant right now, because like they're pushing them out. Like, Disney is pushing out these spinoffs for, and HBO as well. I mean, with Peacemaker, and I think there's even more like coming. The list of spinoffs that are coming out for nerd culture is insane, because Moon Knight is coming soon. Miss Marvel is at least in script works, I believe. And She-Hulk is one that's supposed to be, these are just notable ones that I've seen that are going to be coming out soon. Moon Knight within, I think, the next week is coming out.
There's already a leaked teaser for Miss Marvel.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So they've got a lot more work on.
Did you
than
watch
I
it?
thought.
Absolutely not. But the internet, you know, it tempts you, you know.
But Disney knows what kind of money these things can lead into, because WandaVision show is leading into what's going to be happening with the Doctor Strange movie, because it's Doctor Strange and Wanda like are involved with the story, and we get to see the in between. Because that's one thing that nerds do a lot with all of this superhero stuff and Star Wars stuff, is the in between is where we get into our little like, oh well, I think this probably happened because it led into this.
Yep.
And it can be vague, and it can be right, and it can be wrong, and it doesn't matter because they haven't shown you anything. But what Disney is doing, and Star Wars with what's going on with Mandalorian and Boba Fett, and even Ahsoka that's coming up, and Obi-Wan Kenobi that's coming out soon, another that they're just throwing them at us, and I will take all of it. But it's almost that question of, are they needed? A lot of times it's yes, if done right. If the story is already interesting enough, I think that it can be needed, because if the story is interesting movie-wise, you have more questions that you want answered. Not necessarily questions sometimes you have that you don't give a shit what the answer is because it doesn't matter. You didn't enjoy it in the first place. I think these things that we do enjoy enough to have questions about, I think they matter. I think the WandaVision thing was needed for what we're about to see with the Doctor Strange universe, which is crazy. And even What If is involved with that too, I think.
It is. It's the thing about the Multiverse of Madness that's coming out here in about a month. It comes out in the beginning of May, so a little over a month. It's going to split the possibilities of what you can see in movies wide open. I'm going to call it, just because you're not going to have something as crucial in canon as What If, introducing a plethora of universes and multitudes of them, and Doctor Strange already have experience with the multiverses and the multiple timelines and everything else just through the manipulation of the time stone. Multiverse of Madness is going to just be a giant ass can of worms. Like I think we're going to have a hard time taking all of it in.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it kind of opens up room for them to do, like, once you acknowledge the multiverse, it gives them all these other options. I mean, because let's face it, the Matt Murdock that showed up in whatever spoiler fart Spider-Man movie is probably going to be replaced, recast, much like some of the people in the Avengers were recast, or like Quicksilver was in the Avengers, but he was also in Fox's X-Men movie and kind of stole the show in that movie. But it's like now that we're in the multiverse and everybody kind of understands that concept, but you'll be able to see a new Spider-Man that's not Toby, or I can't keep up with all their names.
There's been plenty.
But even in WandaVision, though, even though she recognized him as her brother, they used the actor from the universe that the Fox's X-Men was.
Yeah, right. Evan Peters.
Just to screw with everything.
Well, and that's great. That's amazing.
And
I love that.
They're acknowledging that existence there by doing so, because the type of magic and the type of stuff that they're tapping into isn't just in one universe. It's not just that kind of capability.
Well, and they own that now. They basically bought it.
Yeah.
So,
and this is where you have questions that you want answered, and you can have them answered for you, which a lot of times it is fun to just make up your own things, but you still, in the back of your head, you really want to know what's actually going on. And the multiverse stuff will probably span other spinoffs, to be honest, because there could be parts of this Multiverse of Madness movie that introduces a version of a character that everyone falls in love with, and all of a sudden all the merchandise that's being sold for the character, because of course they're going to get feedback and push that. So it could lead into more things just because we enjoy it. And I think I don't know, the fans' feedback actually matters sometimes, and I think these spin-offs are where we're getting some of that. Because a lot of it, I feel, is also testing for these characters too. Like Daredevil, extremely successful of a show. So successful that
he never saw it coming.
Exactly. Thank you. And I feel like if that show would have been a one season off thing, like Hellstrom, which is a Marvel title on Hulu, no idea what that is, as well as like Runaways, Cloak and Dagger, like all these that just lasted no time whatsoever.
On FX had that brief little run. They did that Legion.
Yeah, which was actually a really cool concept, but it kind of fell flat after a little while.
Yeah.
Characters like those, like these quote unquote tests that I think that they do with these characters, they failed. So they're not going to make it a big deal to put the characters from Hellstrom in a frickin' Spider-Man movie. Like, they're going to look at this show that had multiple seasons and people going, we love this person as this character, and now put him on the big screen, which is huge for a transition from just a TV actor basically becoming in a giant, the most money ever poured into a franchise ever, like situation.
Well, plus nowadays you got more big name actors willing to do TV.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah, exactly.
And you, with Multiverse coming up, I mean, all of the recently purchased properties that Disney now owns, that they've not had their own iterations of those characters, can now be brought to life, even if it is just for this single story arc, because it acknowledges their existence, it uses them for a finite plot point, and it gets it done with, and it lets it be, because it gives you a taste without giving you a full course of it. And it's going to be, I think that is the perfect way for them to go ahead and just get this out of the way. They need that X-Men content in there, because we've not had jack shit for X-Men out of all of this stuff that they've created for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not a bit of it has been enough for X-Men stuff.
Yeah, they're saving it for the big daddy.
And that's what I'm feeling.
They know that that's a franchise that's going to sell. I mean, they just know that.
Because they have to basically reboot it again.
Right, and they're just waiting.
They're failing.
Well, and
keep
especially
failing.
Coming off the heels of the last one, that was right before. Actually, I think that movie came out during the negotiations of Disney buying all that stuff.
Talking about the Dark Phoenix?
Yes.
Oh God.
Yeah. So that movie was just kind of doomed from the beginning.
Sophie Turner bad.
And it just didn't. Nobody got. I've seen every X-Men movie in theaters except for that one.
Yeah.
Apocalypse was a bad.
That was.
I enjoyed it. I didn't. I don't. I get it.
Yeah.
It'd be better without the PS2 graphics.
I mean, I hated it when Bruce Willis ripped the patch off of his jacket and gave it to the guy at the end of that movie and was like, you go back and make sweet, passionate marriage to my daughter and birth me grandchildren, I'll stay on this asteroid and explode.
That was Armageddon. That was not the same. That wasn't the same thing. That was That was
Sure was. Bruce Willis could
very
read
close.
minds in that movie.
They sent a bunch
And-
of oil riggers to space.
Yeah. And he sensed the guy with the gun in the stadium, and he would drown in water.
That's the
Sam Jackson was
Tiny-
breaky.
That's
Tony,
unbreakable.
Do you think the actor Bruce Willis is a superhero?
What do you mean by actor? I thought this was documentaries based on his life because he's also a really good blues musician. He's very multifaceted, and we're bald-headed bros.
I would like to make a prediction as far as what I want to see, because I don't want to abuse this power that we've been given through the cosmic grapevine.
We're pretty good at this.
But by the power vested in me, by the nerds that fuel me, I want to see Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds share the screen as
They have
Wolverine
to.
and Deadpool
They have to.
in Multiverse of Madness. Just even if it's for just that movie, just to let you know that those things exist.
It could be for 5 seconds. It could be for 5 seconds.
It could literally just be them flashing to like a fight that's going on in the background between those two, and like it's literally just a passing moment in the background.
Just give it to me.
Because those two in real life are just so funny together. Their relationship they have, it's got to be on. They have to be pushing for that, right?
I want to see Deadpool.
They have been for a long time.
Full Deadpool with full Wolverine, like finally getting to let those two characters they spent so much time with actually get a good interaction together, and not they finally figured out how to shut you up.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is Disney going to do anything with Deadpool? Do they have him now too?
Absolutely.
Right. So I
They
mean,
do.
like, what the heck are they going to do with him?
That's where it's getting. Deadpool's getting weird with Disney because Disney also has this like family friendly face, and Deadpool is not one of those things. But
Yet
you
Disney owned
can't-
ICP at one point.
I just want to see
that's why- that's
Deadpool with
really
like
weird.
Aladdin's head, Mickey Mouse's head. Like, I just want to see that in my local Walmart.
Deadpool kills the Disney universe.
Yeah.
No, I talked about that, I think, previously on the podcast.
Hey, don't steal my idea,
probably
okay? That was
did.
mine.
No,
That
I-
was his. That was Marcus's.
I think I did, because that was one of the pitches that Ryan Reynolds wanted for his Deadpool 3
Oh,
trailer.
crap. If I've thought of it, somebody's already thought
It was
of
the Deadpool 3 trailer, and he said that he pitched the idea to Disney about him having his time belt, and he went back in time to find the guy that killed Bambi's mom to find out what it was like to actually be the most hated villain in the entire Disney universe.
But I think something happened on Disney Plus the other day, actually, that I think is a good sign for something like Deadpool. And whenever I opened it up, it asked me if I wanted to set a mature profile setting on the profile that I have. So, like, kids can't get a hold of what I'm watching on there, which could be. I was thinking Seinfeld. That started making me think of Seinfeld. I was like, I don't know.
I was just thinking Mickey Mouse porn.
But you know,
Oh, you take off that purity ring right now.
I think I'm gonna gorge.
For some reason, I see Donald Duck trying to pick up Minnie Mouse. I mean,
Wait, Marcus can do it. Give. It's gotten so much better.
I mean, I kind of feel like the sounds that Daffy Duck would make
Daffy's
during
not in
that would sound a lot like the grapefruit lady.
Are you talking about Donna?
That's the great fail lady. She's part of our universe.
let's just say, is she in the grapevine?
Yeah, she's.
The grapefruit lady?
Okay.
Oh, that's what
you were talking about
Daffy
grape
would
lady.
sound like.
Grape lady, the grape lady that fell off while she was trying to squish grapes into wine. I can't breathe. Oh God! Oh. Ooh, that looks like it felt pretty bad.
okay?
Now over to the weather.
That's why I need the mature setting on my Disney Plus profile, because I can't have the kids watching on that. I can't have them walking in seeing me do that. Spinoffs are a part of nerd culture now to the max. And for the most part, gimme, gimme, I'm hungry, feed me. But sometimes it's enough. Like, you get burned out. Like, you get, I have many people that I've talked to that, like you, Marcus, you haven't seen all the Marvel movies, and Tiny, you've not seen all of them either.
Saw the phase 1. And
Damn.
then some others.
But and I think a lot of that has to do with they keep throwing so many at you that you just get kind of behind, and then all of a sudden you're gone. Like, there've been 5 movies happen, and it's been a year, and you're just not ready to jump into that commitment. And I think with all of these spinoffs, they're just throwing them at your head. And if you're not on it, it took us forever to watch Hawkeye, and when we finally watched it, it was fantastic.
It was good.
I really enjoyed it.
And Marvel has done such a better job with their spin-off capabilities than DC can ever dream of, because then besides the 2 that have been on HBO, and you got to get into the CW universe because that's all you got. The CW universe is just so... I'm a teenage rom-com, and it's not for me. I mean, it was fun for a little bit with the Flash. Then it got to the Savitar season, and it just killed me. I couldn't deal with it anymore. And then you got into then they had the Supergirl television series that spanned from that.
It started off pretty good, but I kind of got lost.
Yeah,
I
lost.
didn't really care anymore.
I don't know. When you get to the point that I'm at, and you're so far behind, you just know in your heart of hearts that you will never, ever be caught up.
No.
I mean, there's so many movies and shows and stuff that have come out, and I'm just too far gone.
See, you'll just get to
guys.
pick and choose what you want.
Yeah, right.
I
That's
don't
what I'm saying.
know.
Like,
So-
I watched WandaVision. I had fun with it. And I watched it because it looked like it was trying to do something a little different with it.
They
know?
did, definitely.
Plus,
they got
not,
weird.
not only do we have the superhero genre, which is so big, but now we've got the superhero subversion genre
Yeah.
with The Boys and the Jupiter's Legacy or whatever. I saw another one on Netflix the other day. I mean, like, now we've got this
Guardians of Justice.
whole genre. Yeah, I've started watching that. It was crazy.
So bad.
Diamond Dallas.
But it's like it spawned a whole nother genre in
Yeah.
the wake of it being like the most dominant genre of the past 20 years.
Yeah.
You told me, Marcus, you said, have you seen Guardians of Justice on Netflix? I took that as I should watch it.
Oh, no.
He made me sit through it too.
I mean, it's pretty short, but I'm like, I don't know. It was interesting, but yeah, it was kind of, whatever.
Diamond Dallas Page
The
played.
yoga guy?
That was him. I knew I recognized him from somewhere.
He was the one who played Nighthawk, and the first move he did on a character that he was up against fighting him was he kicked them in the sternum, and he gave him the diamond cutter.
But how can the yoga guy do that?
He's stayed in shape all these years.
I did
Exclusively
not know
does
that was
yoga. That's all he ever
DDP.
He
does.
stretches beforehand.
So much stretches and plyometrics.
That's crazy. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, spinoffs are going crazy. One of my favorites is about to get a spinoff, and that's a big one that has left a lot of people raw. We've talked about it many times. We're going to continue to talk about it. My topic is not the bad ending of Game of Thrones, which is a good segue, but I guess I just wanted to talk about, because we've kind of touched upon, we've been critical of George lately. And Tiny, if you want to go ahead and get it out,
Yeah,
I
go
have
ahead.
to. I'm sorry.
just go ahead and
Just
get it out
make it
so we
quick.
can get it over with.
One sentence.
We need winds of winter.
I agree 100%.
There we go.
It's looking more and more like we may not get it. We talked about that recently. And I guess I just want to talk about why I think that's so much a tragedy to me by looking at my favorite fan theory, which is the mythical astronomy of Ice and Fire. So this guy his YouTube handle for the longest time was Lucifer Means Lightbringer. It's kind of lore-based, whatever. He goes by David Lightbringer now. So this guy's known for this fan theory where he suspects that George is using something called mythical astronomy in the background of his story to tell us about this cataclysmic event called the Long Night that happened a long time ago that we know nothing about. And by his use of symbolism, which like symbolic language and things like that, different from the prose, is trying to paint this cosmic story from long ago. I talked recently on the podcast about the little part in Daenerys's one of her early scenes in the show, and one of her early scenes in the books about how it is known that we had 2 moons before, and now one of them busted up and birthed all the dragons. And so this is where the symbolism begins here, because George uses like the images of a burning falling star, for example, a meteor. It's black, it breathes fire, it's smoke, it causes all these shadows to spread out over the earth. And so this starts to begin this family of symbolism. Fire, blood, smoke, falling stars, shadows. So that right there, just in itself, we have this family of symbolism that he uses for his characters as well. And then you start to develop these little archetypes in all the characters. And the best way that Lucifer means Lightbringer, a.k.a. now known as David Lightbringer, has wrote all these essays and done all these just super detailed analysis of the text, and has kind of given us these archetypes that George is working with. And it kind of boils down to kind of a love triangle, if you will. So you've got your dark solar king, who has 2 lunar queens, a fire and a moon queen. And if I'm not making any sense, that probably means that y'all need to just make me clarify what I'm trying to say here. No, because it's not the easiest thing to articulate.
Right. No, I think you're doing a great job so far. Because I haven't read the books, I've only seen what has been made on screen.
And people who haven't read the books, this is also kind of relevant because this is the world in which the awesome show takes place. The awesome, except for the last 2 seasons. And
you're saying basically all of this is something that takes place in the just outside of the story, almost
the symbolic language. It's almost metaphors that George is using to describe what's happening on the page. Mm-hmm. Like John is swinging his sword to try to cut this guy's head off, but his sword glowed with pale morning sunlight, which is a symbol of the ice moon. Okay. So like I said, so there's dark solar kings, there's icy moon queens, and there are fire moon queens. So a good example of a fire moon queen would be Daenerys, Melisandre. Cersei has fire moon queen imagery. Sansa, Catelyn Stark, Ygritte, Jon's wildling girlfriend. These will all be examples of fire moon queens. I don't know. I'd have to look. I'd have to look at what kind of... she definitely has Lyanna. Actually, I think Arya might be more icy. Anyway, the Night's Queen is this like legend from a long time ago. Lyanna Stark would be a moon or an icy moon maiden. I don't know. Now I'm focused on Arya. Now I want to know what she is, but I don't take that great of notes. So we'll have to dig into that at some other point. But he also kind of uses buildings, cities, and places as stand-ins for this kind of cosmic, mythical, astronomical event that kind of... So think about it. One of the moons cracks, destroys the earth, long night, and then these become oral tradition. These become stories that people tell each other and that are anthropomorphized and personified, and plus it takes place in a magical world. So, but a good like examples of buildings, cities, and places in the story that kind of take on this cosmic symbolism like this would be the Eyrie, White Harbor, the Wall is an icy moon stand-in. There's this place called the Temple of the Moonsingers in Bravos that Arya talks about. I mean, Moonsingers, Temple of the Moonsingers. We'll get into more of that in a minute. The Land of Asai, where the shadows lie. I know that sounds like Mordor. Dragonstone, Valyria, the Dragon Pit in King's Landing. These would all be stand-ins for the Fire Moon. So basically and maybe there's not 2 moons. That is kind of like a fan theory, and a lot of this seems to support that. But it could just be more of that same kind of ice and fire dichotomy that the series is named after.
Did it ever speak about whether or not when the moon cracked and it hit the earth, did it ever talk about if there were people that existed at that point?
Well, we do have legends of the long night. So, I mean, that's all we have. All of this comes from just stories that exist in the world that the characters have heard of. So it's like we don't know anything about it, but that's what the theory is that if you look at the symbolic language and you kind of compare it to the myth, then you can kind of get an idea of what is going on. So let's just look at Melisandre as a fire moon queen, for example. So there's that shadow baby scene. Do you remember when she births this shadow child?
Yes.
So in the book, when she's birthing this shadow child, first of all, Melisandre is described as having eyes like red stars. Meteors, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's birthing a shadow child.
Mm-hmm.
She's this described as burning black blood as she's birthing this child. She has a cry of anguish and ecstasy, both, which is the exact same way that the Azor Ahai myth speaks about Nissa. So Azor Ahai tempers his blade and has to temper it in the heart of his love. And so he stabs her through the heart, and her cry of anguish and agony cracks the moon. So this is just a parallel of the Carthene legend, or the Dothraki legend, that there used to be two moons.
That's so metal.
Right?
Literally and metaphorically.
Right. And so she's got this Nissa symbolism from this ancient myth, from oral tradition. She births these shadow children with shadow crowns and black fingers like snakes. And there's this image of shadow, like, because Davos is watching this happen. And there's this image of shadows covering, like spiraling out to cover the world, which is our meteor symbolism. So this is all makes Melisandre an icy or a fiery moon queen. And if we take these kind of this family of symbolism, and then we look at a character like the Night's Queen from legend, because she was spotted from the wall by one of the Lord Commanders of the Night's Watch in the Dawn Age. Like I said, these are oral stories. But he spots her from the wall, and she's got blue fallen star eyes, and her skin is cold to the touch. So she's like this inversion of what we see Melisandre being. And what happens in her story? So if Melisandre is a fire moon queen and she births black shadowy moon children, the dragons, what would the Night's Queen? The Night's Queen would
Light, right?
So what kind of shadows? Like white shadows?
If that's a thing.
It's exactly how the White Walkers are described. So it's, you've got these parallels, but they're inversions of each other with all this moon symbolism, this mythical astronomy, so it's like, there is a real world version of mythical astronomy, think like the equinoxes and things like these are all based on where the sun is in the sky during the certain time of year. So humans make stories based on the observation of the heavens and nature all the time.
Well, even in our lives, like, I don't know, a love can be described as hot as the burning sun, or
Right.
you can see the twinkle of stars in their eyes, or something. It's like everything in our universe
Right.
is also used for things.
And the
like
way
this
you just
too.
said that, George is taking that kind of turn of phrase and telling this secret story, this secret cosmic story that has affected the entire planet for thousands of years. And it's just one of the coolest things I've ever heard. If it's not true, because it is just a theory,
Right.
it's one of the coolest things I've ever heard.
See, I feel like this is
And
something.
I want it to be true so bad.
Like, I feel like George could see this and be like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Please,
Yeah,
George.
totally. I totally meant to
Just
do
let
that.
David Lightbringer just write the end of it.
That was exactly what I was going to say. Like I was about to spew it out. Then I was like, there's no way. That was my idea the whole time. I'm so glad you picked up on that.
Well, I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest that he is doing something. What it is, we don't know because we don't have the last books, but there is this pattern of Dark Solar King impregnates Fiery Moon Queen, birthing shadow versions or shadow children, and all this kind of fits this symbolism of Lightbringer, the sword that's supposed to be forged in Nissa's heart that ends the long night, basically, the hero that ends the long night. And Stannis, if you remember, has that flaming sword, and Melisandre is like, "Oh, it's Lightbringer. He's the chosen one." So he has all this Azor Ahai imagery. So he's that Dark Solar King. And but when because he makes more than one shadow child in the books, and Davos starts to notice that it's kind of withering him away. So and Melisandre even says, like, I'm taking his live fires. I'm stealing of him his live fires. And it's starting. So basically, he's giving her more than just his seed. He's giving her his seed and his soul, much like the Night King from legend, not like the show, gave that other lady that he found outside the wall with the cold skin and the blue star eyes, gave his seed and his soul to create white shadows. So it's like this. It's just like these parallel symbols, and I don't know. I just think it's really cool.
Which could kind of be where the White Walkers come from in the first place, and they create the actual army.
So they are the shadow children of the Ice Moon.
Yeah, and they can,
if you want to put it that way,
and they can raise the armies of the dead.
And maybe even ice dragons.
Yeah.
And let me just kind of do this really quick, because there's another kind of example of a dark solar king, Aegon the Conqueror, the one who united the seven kingdoms to begin with. We had the North, the South, the blah, 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 the seven kingdoms, and then he united them all under one king, and he had his sister wives, Rhaenys and Visenya. Well, if you look at King's Landing and how it's set up, if you look at a map of it, King's Landing is this huge city, and Aegon's high hill sits the Red Keep. So it's like high, like it's like the sun. And then you've got Rhaenys' hill and Visenya's hill. Well, what's on Rhaenys' hill? The Dragon Pit. What happened at the Dragon Pit? A long time ago, these prophets came up to the Dragon Pit and were like, for some reason, just wanted to kill all the dragons in there.
Yep.
And so they came in there and they were started, and people died. There was blood, fire everywhere. And at last, one of the dragons tried to burst through the dome of the Dragon Pit. What does that sound like?
The moon.
Sounds like our moon.
Yeah.
That's our fire moon right there.
Right.
Well, on Visenya's hill, we have the Sept of Baelor, which is made of white marble, and it's got this blue dome, blue silver. I don't know. It's just the symbolism is all there.
That fits.
That's cool.
There's more to it. Hold on, let me look. Also, there's the Temple of the Moonsinger. This is one of the coolest ones. So they were like some of the first people to they founded Bravos. It's the oldest temple in the city because they were running away from the Dragon Lords of Valyria. And so they found this place that was just misty and kind of foggy enough to hide from the Dragon Lords. So already we see them opposing these fire people. And their temple is also made of white marble, and it's got the phases of the moons on their stained glass window. And has two maidens holding up the lintel or whatever right outside the tent, or right outside the entrance. So I don't know if I could like describe some of the actual book quotes and the way, because like I kind of went over the family of symbolism for the fire, like the shadows, but basically it's all the same symbolism, just reverse. So like pale morning sunlight, or milk pale. Like he says, pale as milk a lot. And so on the Temple of the Moonsingers, we have all that same symbolism. It's like the same family of symbolism.
That's really cool, because even whenever he started this whole idea of this book, he could have had this grand, like, cosmic, like, cataclysmic thing, this idea, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to build the world from this, but only loosely and with all these symbolisms and stuff kind of calling back to it, and sprinkle it throughout. Because an idea like in writing something this massive, like, it kind of makes sense to start as grand as you can and work your way down. And why not start with something like sun and moons, and then work your way down to the
or
planet.
At least a meteor impact of some sort.
And that would explain too why it would take him so long to write these books. Because at the same time he's trying to adhere to his own cosmic lore that is really just understated but overarching.
And it's focused, and it's extremely detail focused, and extremely metaphorical too, because think about Melisandre birthing these shadow children, which are kind of these symbolic representations of dragons. Well, think about how Daenerys how she birthed her dragons
through fire.
Exactly. And she thought they were stone. These were stone eggs, and it's just all the symbolism fits. And like if you're just reading the prose, you're you're reading the language, but it's if I don't know the way this guy David Lightbringer on YouTube, like some of his essays and some of his videos, he's just so much better at articulating it. And like I said, it's one of my favorite fan theories. I hope some of these new spin-off shows are going to incorporate some of this stuff. I mean, like I said, it could be completely wrong.
Right. But it's a perfect way to do it, like with spin-off stuff, because these are small, massive stories, but in small areas throughout the book. And they're probably not going to get, like we said, I mean, they're probably not going to be completely touched on within the main book series. So you can have something like Spinoff go like, okay, let's go more into depth of this and actually make it true. Because for now, it is just myth. But they could make it true, or at least put some truth to it.
Yeah. Well, and see, it's almost one of those things that the book in the text doesn't even really have to explicitly state. I don't think. I think just as long as because obviously the story needs a climax and an ending, which we'll see. But I don't know. Even if it doesn't, I think what he's created is already just a world in which I don't want to leave. Like I just want to keep exploring, keep digging. There's so much there.
As long as it makes money, man, you may never have to go away from it.
Right. But it's like, what are they going to do? Are they going straight to try to take all the magic out of it? Because that's what Game of Thrones did, and that's what was so successful. Right. So it's like, are we really? I want them to really dig into the magical elements of the world. And if they don't, especially after the way they ended the first series,
is it too late? Because of that. Because of
how... It may be. We'll see.
Because people aren't hungry anymore.
But to say, if The Winds of Winter were to come out, I think people would be all over it.
Yeah. That would have to come out first before they do anything else in it. But, I mean, this spinoff show, if it's successful, I think it's going to gain steam slowly, if it is. Because I really don't think people are going to flood towards it. Because I keep forgetting it's even a thing.
Is it a Prime thing? Or is it?
It's HBO.
HBO.
It's okay.
Lord of the Rings is going to be Prime.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
The Rings
of Power of the Lord of the Rings of Power of the
But
Lord.
I just wanted to talk about George's symbolism. It is kind of popping up in Elden Ring here and there, so it just makes me feel like it's more and more true the longer that we don't get the Winds of Winter. So,
but there is also the number 23 thing, to where whenever you get the idea of something, you start seeing it other places because your brain is hyper focusing on that one thing.
This is true.
So this David Lightbringer could have had this idea.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, so as he's reading the book, he's just looking for fire, ice, sun, moon, cold, hot. He's like, okay, anytime these things come up, it's supporting this theory. Mm-hmm. And so if you're looking for
over
it,
and over again,
find
and
it.
He finds it over and over again. Right. I mean, there is that trap to fall into.
Right.
But it's like, he's not just making up the fact that meteors can be dragons or it can be swords,
right? Because because
meteors can be right. Well, and then if season 2, there's that red comet, that comes across the sky, and people describe it in all different ways, and all of them, the ones I just described to you, are the ways in which he describes them. Mm-hmm. I know that was a terrible sentence, but I'm getting excited, and so I'm trying to say things a lot.
I could tell you were getting excited by the way that your foot was kicking.
Yeah.
Oh man,
does have a nice rhythm.
Yeah, you haven't said anything, Tiny. You read the books too.
You were just doing such a good job. I didn't want to interrupt.
I think you all did such a good job this episode of Nerd It Through the Grapevine. Thank you all for tuning in and listening to us for this last hour and such. And thank you for doing it on iTunes and Spotify and Audible and CastBox and wherever the hell you like to listen to things. Wherever there is a place you can give stars, give 5 of them, please, especially on iTunes, because for some reason, according to all the other podcasts I listen to, that's an important one. And if you give descriptions on there with your 5 stars as to why you like us or why you hate us, and you still gave us 5 stars because you love us as people, do that. Tell people what you think about the show. And then you can tell people in real life by clicking on the Teespring link in the show notes. And you can go wear us on your body whenever you feel like. There's some with their names, some with their logo. There's a hot, stinking, fecal garbage shirt. There's a Visionella Noonan shirt. There's a lot of stuff. I've made a lot of things, and I want you to put it on your body.
And if you want to get on some social media platforms so you can discuss various things with us, such as how often does Tiny go to sleep during the podcast, we can discuss this openly on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. at Nerd Grapevine is where you'll find us. And if you wanted to go to our Patreon account and donate a little bit to the cause, you can get a shiny holographic sticker with Nerd at the Grapevine's logo on it, unlock future content that's going to be released to you before anybody else, maybe be like Kevin Busby and get you a music made for you.
And, and Betty Boom, she recently got some merch from us as well. So we're gonna have to bring something up for that.
Oh,
I don't know what's in store.
I have an idea. We can get that going. But you can find the Patreon account on Patreon by looking up Best Friends period Tiny Ink period, and that's how you can get to us on there. But whatever you do, don't have any spoilers for what you're going to do for Betty Boom, because that might cause her to have a little bit of.
So this morning, I was awakened at 3 a.m. by my canine viciously throwing up in my lap while I was asleep.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm like,
No.
Nola, there is so much bed. I mean, I have a vinyl zippy mattress protector, so it's not that big of a deal, except she threw up on her dad. There's so much more bed, girl. Go throw up in one of the other corners. It's going to be gross regardless, but not on me.
How'd that make you feel?
I was so upset. So I took her outside with vom dripping off of me, and it was so bad. But anyway, find us on Discord if anything similar's happened to you. And sometimes that's why a man dozes off for a minute or two, because he woke up rolling in dog vom. We're not here to judge you. We love you. But join the Backyard Bonanza. There's a meme channel, some Malcolm Head stuff. You know, sometimes we stream movies. We're on there live, uncut, uncensored, and fully circumcised. There's a link in the description.
Oh, gosh. Well, Tiny,
Yes, Marcus.
since you were semi-conscious, you get to decide what happens when life gives you grapes.
When life gives me grapes, I'm going to grasp the 3 of them. I'm going to hold them to my breast and walk into the fire of my lover burning because they died. And out of those grapes will be birthed the great winged beasts known as grape dragons.
And they're all singing in unison with the unburnt one. Even his beard hair. We're the 4 best friends that
we're
anybody
dragons,
could have.
and we breathe cold fire, and we fly real high.
I got fire in my mouth and